Part of the feeling I wanted to convey was to be super encouraging, super welcoming, and try to get strangers to play together. And my vibe always going into guitar shops was always like, oh God, I don't want to go in there. They're going to be so rude. It's going to be so awkward. Like, I'm afraid to ask questions. I thought just by being a woman opening a music store, like all the female players I knew would come in. But it's almost like we've gotten to the point where we're like training ourselves to avoid music stores generally. And you feel like you have to build up a lot of knowledge before you feel comfortable coming in. And I try to just share that knowledge without being condescending. Hi, I'm Jen Dave, and we're here at Third Wave Music in Detroit, Michigan. Well, so my mom and dad met. He gave her piano lessons, and she started working at a music store when she was a teenager. So immediately, as soon as I could work, I was in the business, whether it was signing people up for lessons, working the front counter, working in the back, teaching, then teaching group lessons. And so it really gave me a surrounding education of the music retail industry. And with my dad being a jazz pianist in the area, that gave me a connection to the more creative side. I had been in the city playing gigs and stuff and working at restaurants. I thought, okay, am I gonna work in restaurants and play in bands forever, or am I gonna try to like do my own thing? So I decided to try to do my own thing. I mean, being a multi-instrumentalist, like growing up being a band nerd, playing saxophone, and then getting into synths and playing guitar in a rock and roll band, I felt like I had a unique experience and unique knowledge level to open up this store. We had our eye on the spot because I was living across the street and I saw the renovations happening, and I had found out who the owner was, and I came through and I was like, what's going on with that space? I kind of had this idea about a music store. So going from the nebulous of the idea 2 years ago to making it happen was a lot of different hurdles of funding, loans, grants, promotion, marketing, acquiring merchandise, figuring out the business plan, and then the literal building out of the space. Well, I tried to just think, if there's not really any other options, how to have the industry standards for every instrument, the accessories that people need to play. There are so many musicians in Detroit. We are the originators of many genres of music, and yet getting supplies, you have to leave the city. And there used to be a ton of music stores, all up and down Joseph Campo, East Side, West Side, downtown, Wurlitzer Building. There was a lot more of that music retail industry side. And with most retails, that aspect fizzled out, but the weird dichotomy was musicianship never fizzled out. So that customer base was always there. Where else do musicians hang out besides bars? Like, where else do we run into each other? Music stores. Coffee shops is number 2. If there's not any music stores, there's no place during the day that musicians ever see each other. And I think that's an important piece of that music scene puzzle. As with many industries, the more power positions women have, the less of a boys' club it is. And if you read any type of music trade magazine, you'll see articles about it, and you'll see that there is a gaining presence of women in the music retail scene. Whenever I get stressed out, I'm like, what else would I be doing? Sometimes I miss like schlepping food to tables and just like BSing conversation and hanging out, but nothing feels better that moment where you open the door and you look at all these instruments and a day goes by where these connections happen and you're like, this is my thing. Like, I started this thing.